Hi, welcome to Clark County Museum. My name is Amber Colbert and I'm the Clark County Museum Administrator. And today we're standing inside the Giles Barkis house, which is all located on our Heritage Street. Now this house was in Goldfield, eventually moved to Las Vegas and became an antique shop. It's become a really good place for us to display some of those antique items that are kind of classics. But I want to talk about something else today. Today I want to talk about the part of the museum that most people don't see, our collection side of it. So we are a service to Clark County residents, and our mission is to collect and preserve Southern Nevada's history and natural history. We then use those items in exhibits and educational programs to interpret that history. So today we're just going to talk about the preservation and the collection. So how do we decide what goes into our collection and what doesn't go into our collection? And how do we decide what to keep forever? One of the ways we do that is with a collection policy. So in that policy, we have some guidelines that tell us exactly what to do when an item is up for donation. Now, it also defines what to do when we find an item that might not really fit those guidelines. And the number one guideline for us accepting donations is that it fits our mission. And again, remember, our mission is Southern Nevada, so it has to link somehow to Southern Nevada history. So today I've pulled a few items to kind of talk about that process we go through. Let's look at a few of them. So a lot of times we have a committee that decides whether we get a donation or not. But there's a few items, 3 specifically, we do not need a committee for because there are a plethora of them here in our museum and other museums. This piano is one of them. It takes up a lot of space. We have quite a few. We have a good example. Most museums do, because they're the things that people hang on to. The other 2 are sewing machines, because everyone's got their grandma's sewing machine, and typewriters. So those are 3 really good technologies, but there's a good example of them all over the world. So the museum does not need to keep them and use our precious storage space. One of the items on our table is this chin strap penguin. And obviously, what does a chin strap penguin have to do with Southern Nevada? So this normally would be something you go, we aren't accepting that, or let's de-accession, which means we get it out of our collection. But when you look up the donation of this penguin, it actually came in our original collection, which was from Anna Robert Parks. Anna Robert Parks came in 1911 and she started collecting, and she collected a little bit of everything, hence we have a taxidermy penguin. On another case though, right next to that penguin, we have a prosthetic leg. Now, if this leg had a story or a donor that had some historical significance in Southern Nevada, we may keep it. But we've gone through the donor's file, and this leg was one of many that was donated as kind of a treasure collection from a family member that had passed away. So originally, we probably shouldn't have accepted it. So now we'll go through that process of de-accessioning, which is a committee of us museum employees and volunteers that deem it that it does not fit our mission. We then have to go through a process, sometimes involving the Clark County Board of Commissioners. We then have to go further research. Is this really not connected to anybody? And then when we decide that is not a value of the museum, we have to try to find a home for it. So whether that's contacting another institution, in this case with the prosthetic leg, we might not find another institution, and then we would get rid of it to where we could use it the best. Now, we try not to sell things. It's not completely against the rules to sell things, but there's one caveat to selling. If we sell an item, we then have to reinvest that money into purchasing something else for the collection. It cannot go to the profit of the museum. Moving on the table, we have other items that may have been good collector items for people, but not really representative exactly of our history, like this little Tweety bird. Very cute, very good decoration. And when we look at this, we don't just look of, does it have a value? We have some items that are not part of our collection that are props for our houses. So they make the houses feel more authentic to the time period and lived in. So we do talk to our exhibit assistants to see, is this something they could use to decorate one of the houses? Moving forward, of course, if you grew up in the 80s, you know the CB radio was a way of communicating from one car or truck to the other, and it kind of marks an era across the whole United States, including Southern Nevada. So we only need one of these in our collection. We don't need a lot of them. And it makes it so that if we have something, an exhibit about communication, we can use that. Talking about communication, you have your 1990s payphone. And this one's really significant because this is the kind of payphone that would be in a hotel or casino lobby. You put a quarter in and you get 3 minutes of time to talk in that hotel lobby. Now, what would be better is if this actually had a logo of one of those local casinos or hotels, so that we could place it that it was from here, from Southern Nevada. Unfortunately, this doesn't have that. If we get another one that does, of course, we would take that, probably de-accession this. Of course, everyone's always giving us their tourist pieces. This is a little miner set. It's actually on bark of wood, and it represents Nevada because it's gold and mining. But it really doesn't tell our story. We don't know what gift shop they got it from. Is this Northern Nevada? Is this Southern Nevada? We don't really have trees here, so this may not be Southern Nevada at all. Although it's a cute decoration and it does link to our state, probably something we would de-accession. So another item that may be up for de-accessioning is this little ice cream box. This is an ice cream box from the 1920s, which is amazing, but it's from Provo, Utah. So not Southern Nevada linked. It may have been somebody brought it home from vacation and brought it down to Southern Nevada, but it's not really interpreting our history. Some of the other items on this table kind of have a whole hairdresser barber setup here. This is actually not a hat box, this is a wig box. People traveled here. Might be something we keep because we don't have another, and it would look nice in some of the houses. Same thing with the hairdryer. Shows us a little bit of the technology of the time. Might go into a house and decorate it. At the very end, we have barber shop. And the reason we have this is we actually took in a whole barber shop from Southern Nevada. So it included the barber chair, everything that came with it. We believe this is part of that collection, including the sign that has the union prices. And it gives us a little bit of idea of those everyday lives that people had in Southern Nevada. So over on this side of the Giles Barkis house, I chose items that were more likely going to be kept by the museum or accepted by the donation. So we start with some Native American artifacts. And out of these 3 artifacts, we have a pot, a basket, and a pipe. We are going to keep all 3 of these, but if these were brand new donations, we might look at it a little differently. This pot here is a Puebloan pot. It is broken, so that's why it's upside down, so we don't do any more damage to it. The Puebloans were local tribe. Unfortunately, this pipe was a Navajo pipe. Well, the Navajo never actually lived in Southern Nevada. This may have been a trade piece that made it here, but it wouldn't have been made here. So currently today, we don't accept any more Navajo items. Moving on, of course, mining, as I've spoken, is our big history, and this is actually a blasting machine. This is what you'd hook up to the dynamite, pull the handle just kind of like in Looney Tunes. And this one is a great example of history. It's not necessarily connected to Southern Nevada, but because it's got all of its original plates, it's got its original strap, it's got its original paint, these were used all over mines in this area. So we can say it could have come from one here. The helmet, on the other hand, is a good example of different types of helmets, but this again is a general helmet. This would have been used in coal mines. It would have been used in mines across America, any that had the low ceilings. This is the type of helmet they would use. Moving on, you can't get more specific than Hoover Dam though. This is a 1985 New Coke memorabilia for the 50th anniversary of Hoover Dam. So it would have been sold in this collector box and the bottle itself. And of course, New Coke was when Coca-Cola was trying to compete with Pepsi. They came out with a new recipe and it failed miserably. So now we've got our classic Coca-Cola back. Another thing that always kind of tells the history is the art. So we've got 2 pieces of art here. This one is a wonderful watercolor of the Las Vegas Railroad Depot. Takes us back to that time. Another one is done by an artist whose son is now a county commissioner. So this is Cliff Sagerbloom, and he did tons of water paintings of the whole area of the desert, of the landscape, of history. And this is actually of BMI, which was Basic Magnesium, which was here in Henderson and kind of started the township. Another very specific item, and I know it's small. This is a name badge. During World War II, we started the Las Vegas Army Airfield, and Leva Beckley, who we have her house. William Beckley was one of the first pioneers to start Las Vegas Township and build his business. She kind of worked for a group that was similar to the Red Cross, and she would go to the air base. This is her name tag with her photo on it, so another very important collection. Our final item here is actually one we just discovered. So going through boxes for our project to go through the backlog of items, we found a box that had a wedding dress, and it had this cloth wrapped up with something and a little note with it. We opened the bag and read the note, and it says Nettie Josephine Hubbard and Fred Eugene Hubbard wedding cake and flannel wrapping. Married approximately 1900 to 1901. So this is a couple's wedding cake that they air dried, wrapped in this flannel, and then it was passed on from generation to generation, eventually donated to the museum. So normally we don't keep food items, but this one's pretty much turned into a rock, so it's probably pretty safe for us to keep, and it's a great interpretation of the wedding industry. And we all know Southern Nevada is the wedding capital of the world. So we will keep this, and we hope to put it on exhibit so people can kind of see. Links us to our history. We all keep our slice of wedding cake in our freezer. They air dried it and kept it for over 124 years. So thank you for joining me today and seeing a little bit of the museum you don't normally see. We have a lot of processes, and it's all to serve our local community. Speaking of serving our local community, you can come out to the museum 7 days a week, all except for Thanksgiving Day, Christmas Day, and New Year's Day. And now for the low new price of free. So make sure to come out and see us and explore all of Clark County's history.